Every NFL season comes with its share of strategic problems, things that they have to overcome, not just from a play standing, a defensive standpoint that you're going up against, but also from injuries. We watched Felix Uzama, who again, disappointing to a lot of people, was one of my guys, go out with an injury this past weekend in Seattle. That's going to bring about opportunities. And one guy that we know is going to be up for that is rookie Ashton Gelati from Louisville. We're going to talk a little bit about him today and some other players that are looking for more opportunities with this preseason and how they can continue to get involved in the offense or defense, whatever game plan that may be with this last preseason game and all the way into the beginning of the regular season. So welcome into RGR, everybody. My name is Daniel Harms, senior film analyst. And today, like I said, that's what we're going to go through. We're going to talk about some of those players. I have some clips for you guys. And again, I apologize for not having pre-recorded film breakdowns yet. We will get those as soon as we move. There's a little bit of an update on that. We got the house today. Our stuff will be moved in on Tuesday. So hopefully after then I can settle in, get you guys real film rooms. That's what we want to do here. That's what I want to do here. But like I said, opportunities are important. They're in every single season, and you have to be able to grasp those. And Andy Reid talked today about what he wants to see from those guys on the roster bubble or those that have opportunities in front of him. Just show me something, okay? So let's talk a little bit. Ashton Gelati, again, he's a bit of a smaller player. He's not huge. He doesn't have the longest arms in the world. But what you've seen from him from the get-up has been the effort that he brings to the game. And this is exactly what we're talking about. Is he fully involved in the play here? No, he's not. But he's actually down here at the bottom of your screen he's looking for the ball, right? That's what he wants to do. He wants to find that football. You have that B gap that the running back is going to take. He disengages right here and he goes and he looks for the football. So this is exactly what you want from an effort-based player. Now go find the football, go make a tackle. Who cares who's already there? Go and make something happen. This is what we've seen multiple times on the almost interception from Brian Cook in the end zone in this football game. We saw Ashton Gelati do a great job of finding himself in space and going attacking Drew Lock and making him throw that football maybe a little bit more than he wanted to. So again, a little bit earlier than he wanted to, excuse me. So we talk about opportunities again with defensive end. If you look, excuse me, at George Karlaftis, he is your number one without question. They obviously bring back Charles Omenihu with that 1-year contract. You have Mike Dana on the roster, but what are these guys lacking? Outside of, George is the best pass rusher among the three, the most consistent for sure. There's a lot of opportunity there for him to not only secure more of a third down or obvious passing situation role as a pass rusher with George Karlaftis, Chris Jones, possibly Charles Omenihu, as well as Omar Noman-Lott, who we talked a little bit about to this point. But this is where I think we get a little bit interesting, because if you look right here, I want to go back just to the beginning. So you see a 4 down front. What the Chiefs are going to do in this play at the bottom of this defensive line, that overhang linebacker is going to shift down really quickly there. So there he goes right there. And then we also have creep up on the opposite side of that defensive line. So now the offensive line has to figure out before the call, right, before the play is snapped, what's going to happen here. Because typically in this situation, the pass protection scheme has already been set. So this is a late shift by the defense. And what I like from here is that on the bottom of this defensive line, on the left-hand side of the offensive line, we see Ashton Gelati is going to rush inside. Look at the displacement that he's going to get on this guard, and then right into the lap of Drew Lock. Obviously, this play ends up going for a first down regardless, but I like this type of play. So because it gives you a little bit of an idea of what Steve Spagnuolo is trying to do. He's trying to make the offensive line play on his terms. So you like being able to rush inside from Ashton Gelati. Again, the first step quickness it's kind of up and down for him, but when he does get off the football, he can generate some speed to power and really take some of these guards who get flat-footed into the backfield. So I appreciate what he's able to do from that standpoint for sure. And then you see it here on the end zone angle where there goes the linebacker to knock down, and Ashton Gelati can go ahead and rush to the guard. And again, gets a little bit of hand in the face right there. Probably get him in a flag from Seattle's guard. But again, what you like to see from him is the effort, just the willingness to continue to rush from multiple different spots is going to allow them to use Gelati in a lot of different ways. And because of the injury and, to be fair, ineffectiveness of a lot of other guys, he's going to have more of an opportunity in front of him. It's very clear that they're high on Ashton. That's why they drafted him where they did, as well as where he's been playing in the pecking order. So always opportunity cost, right? We always talk about how there's going to be opportunities day in and day out, but how can they continue to make that? And like Andy Reid said, you got to show me something. To this point, as a pass rusher, Ashton has been more of a pusher and not a pressure creator, guy who finds himself in space to to get to the quarterback and really to get to the ball carrier. I like what he does as a run defender, again, with that effort, with the nasty play that he has, but we got to see a little bit more from him, right? This is a good example of working the pass rush. Let me put this up here properly. Again, this time he's up at the top of the screen where you see he is not the quickest guy in the world. Let me get to the end zone angle so you can actually see what I'm talking about. But he gets to the rip. Okay, so over here on the right hand side of your screen, you got tight end, cross two running backs, fullback and a running back in the backfield, and they're going to run a little bit of just play straight drop back from this, again, making the defense in base defense, giving you more opportunities to throw the football, specifically more to the middle of the field if those linebackers are coming in different spots. So Gelati is going to work pass rush. So he initially gets up inside. That right hand goes through, tries to extend, can't create a lot of space for himself, but now he's going to bring the rip through. So here comes the rip right there. And this is where you see we got to work that just a little bit more. But you overall, you understand what he's trying to do. Typically, as a pass rusher, what you're trying to do is get off the ball and then use your arms to extend and then rip. It creates that space between you. It also gives you a little bit more of a corner to go around. So that's what he's trying to do. So he realizes he can't really extend. So instead, he's going to push his right shoulder into the chest and then give himself more time to be able to get underneath and then rip through. You see that little bit of a jar underneath? That's what he does right there to rip through. But so we got to work on the hand speed. Again, that's all going to come with time. But what I like is that he's already utilizing more pass rush moves than Felix was doing this year, last year. He's playing the same way that he played at Louisville. Is it always going to work out? No. Different types of players bring different types of mentalities and different ways of learning. So I'm excited to see what he does. This is a good opportunity in front of him against the Chicago Bears on Friday to play a lot like he has been. This time we got to see a little bit more from a pass rush perspective. So I want to see that. This is a big opportunity for him. Really, it is for Charles Omenihu as well. I'm not saying that FAU was going to go out there and be like the pass rushing defensive end, but now you don't have a choice. There's no one else in that rotation. It's just the four: Charles Omenihu, George Karlaftis, Mike Dana, and Ashton Gelati. Probably going to throw in Malik Herring in there as well if they don't add somebody else. So just wanted to showcase what he's been able to do from the effort we've seen and getting more of the inside rush paths as well as what he's able to do from the just a pure pass rushing standpoint. So we do have a super chat. Thank you, Day for the super chat. Sorry to sidetrack. I'll even look in the comments for a response. What are your thoughts on the Harrison Phillips trade? I think he could have helped us. So two defensive tackles, by the way, were traded away to the New York Jets today. One, again, Harrison Phillips. I forget who the other one is, but it was from the Cleveland Browns, if I'm not mistaken. So they added a couple of defensive tackles today. And let me just go ahead and bring up the trade value for you guys because I don't know exactly off the top of my head what it was. And we want to be able to react responsibly to this. Obviously, also, the Denver Broncos just traded Devon Vele to the New Orleans Saints. So that's interesting. So the Vikings traded Harrison Phillips and a 2027 seventh round pick to the Jets for a sixth round. So two sixth round picks, one in 2026, one in 2027. Yes, to answer your question in short, yes, I believe he could have helped them this year. And this is something that the Chiefs probably typically would have done. I don't know why they're not trying to get more defensive tackle help. And again, we don't know for sure or not if they were in on this, trying to trade for a defensive tackle or not. But I think that they definitely could have it. This is a good move for the Jets. They had to eat about $4 million of that contract as well. The Chiefs have $60 million in cap space. It's not like they couldn't do it themselves. But overall, Harrison Phillips mimics a lot of the same things as Mike Pennel in my mind at this point in his career. So if there's anything that the Chiefs were looking at. It probably was more of, we want to see some young players. We want maybe some guys with more pass rush upside, but also younger players with defensive tackle, run defense ability that can grow in the defense, not someone just for a 1 year rental. And that's what I would say as to why they didn't do it. I do agree that he probably could have helped the run defense, but overall, I think that that's what they're trying to do right now. If they're going to be trading players, if they're going to be trading picks, they're probably looking to get younger at the defensive tackle spot to help replace Mike Pennell eventually, because next year I would imagine they don't want to bring him back. So that was probably the biggest reason, Day Day. If I Chiefs come out and tell us for sure what it was, it's just kind of how it is. And this is another good point from JT. Derek Nottie for the Jets. He signed with the Jets. Probably isn't going to make that roster. So that's, or wait, did he sign with the Jets? Maybe I'm mistaken. I thought he did sign with the Jets, but regardless, that's not a great situation to be in for the Chiefs if you have to bring back Derek Nottie, who's currently getting cut from the Jets, and they're bringing in two guys that they had to trade for to get that done. So maybe the Jets, right? Anonymous Mango, appreciate that. So yeah, I think that that's probably more of the problem here, is that there's other players out there that probably could have helped the Chiefs, but if you're looking at this situation right now and Derek Nottie is back in Kansas City, I'm not exactly sure I'm going to be too happy about that myself. But going on to another player who has an opportunity, we know at some point that Rashee Rice is going to be suspended, and I think that even without the suspension, Tyquan Thornton has been the guy that's going to make the roster. Now, this is not going to be something he does all the time, because I don't think he's a punt returner, a kick returner. You can kind of see right there, he's not the kind of guy that gets the change direction well. So you do see right here where he just kind of runs into it. So he's been getting a lot of opportunities on special teams, return, gunner. They're trying to find different ways to use his speed, to use what he brings. And to that point later on the offensive side, I'll get into more detail about what he's probably going to be asked. But just from the top, what we have seen from him, I believe right here you see at the top of your screen, this is something that I'm very into, the quick game with the Chiefs. He's got a little RPO action right here. The football is delivered to his back shoulder, and that's what you see here. A little bit of RPO. Defense is in pretty decent spot. The ball's had to be put behind him, but he does a nice job adjusting to the football there. He's been more of a sacrificial X, right? What it means is a guy who runs a lot of deep routes, vertical routes in the offense, using his speed to draw safety attention and create space underneath. I think that there's more to him that could actually be utilized. But what I do appreciate from Tyquan Thornton's perspective is that he's coming in acting basically like a rookie, in the sense that he's doing whatever's asked of him on the special teams. But we're also seeing more of what he can do from a getting open standpoint. There's been multiple times that he's been throwing the football down the field from Bailey Zappi against the Cardinals, but being able to use more of his speed, I think that can actually be something that is utilized more. We remember the connection with MVS and Patrick Mahomes. MVS was open multiple times. He was open multiple times down the field. So in essence, I think that there are ways to still access those parts of the field with a little bit of a better receiver in Tyquan Thornton to be able to get those opportunities open. So I'm intrigued about the upside of Tyquan in this specific offense, because overall what we see from him, this is not working. Come on. Let me see the clip. This is not that hard. All right. Well, it's not showing for me for whatever reason. So I apologize about that, you guys. Trying to figure this out with the StreamYard isn't always the easiest thing in the world. But if you just, the opportunity is there in front of Tyquan Thornton to be able to not only make this roster, but be an actual impact kind of player in the offense, where attention is going to be on Xavier Worthy, Travis Kelsey, Rashee Rice when he's there, even Hollywood Brown by extension. I think there's a lot more they can do that brings about Tyquan Thornton being used downfield, and maybe you find defense sleeping from time to time, and just being able to access those downfield. So he's definitely got an opportunity there. I know we've got some more questions as well, so we'll take a little bit of a break from the film there to try to get to some of these. Cody, nice to see you, man. Thank you for the super chat. Quentin Nelson, not happy trade last year of his deal. So I understand everyone kind of quick to react to Kingsley. The Chiefs themselves, I think, are very comfortable where they're at. I also don't think trading for Quentin Nelson at this point, who is in the last year of his contract, that you would now have to extend, who is less than 30. We're talking about investing in guard in more monetary value than the Chiefs placed on Joe Tooney. I know Joe Tooney is 34, excuse me, 32. He is not 36 years old. He was still playing in an elite level last year, okay? And the contract that he signed with the Bears, you'd have to pay Quentin Nelson more than that on top of trading for him. So I understand that everyone is kind of like wanting to go ahead and do that. I don't think they're going to do it, and I don't think the Chiefs want to do that. I still think you need to develop players the right way, at least allow them to develop. If you just consistently draft players that are really, really talented and force them out because of preseason player, just a couple of games here and there that they're not really getting under the belt. They need live reps. They need them. So Quentin Nelson might not be happy in Indianapolis. I don't blame him because it's a complete shit show over there. Their GM is clueless. Their head coach is getting fired this year no matter what. They started Jano Jones. They're not a serious organization by any stretch. So there's a lot going on right now with them, and I understand it, but I don't think that the Chiefs are going to be wanting anything to do with having to not only trade for a Quentin Nelson, but then you'd still have to pay him, who has not played up to his own standards in the last couple of seasons. So I appreciate the super chat and the question there, Cody, but for me, it's a no go. And I understand like this thought process um, about being apprehensive to make moves. I I don't think that that's true in the sense that they're not wanting to make trades because of what Steve Spagnuolo will do. I think that they just need to continue to identify the players that make sense, and not it's not even necessarily having to learn Spag's system. Some of these veteran players can come in and fill a role, specifically defensive tackles. You can fill a role. If you are a 4-3 defensive tackle, you can stop the run, you can play one tech, you can play in this defense. This is not safety, this is not corner that has to rotate back to safety. Defensive line, Joe Cullen has far more control over. Spags is far more hands-on with linebackers and corners and safeties. So to me, this is just more of opportunity cost, and they haven't found someone that they are comfortable bringing in that they're high enough on to want to go ahead and make that happen. So I'm not trying to say that Matt Derrick or even Brett Veach is wrong about that. I think I interpret it a little bit differently myself. Another couple of questions here, and then we'll talk about the last guy, which is in one of these questions. Sean, appreciate you. Rogue thought. What if the Chiefs traded for Quentin Nelson in a second and other pieces? I appreciate it. I just answered that question, luckily for you. But again, if they were to do it, I wouldn't be mad about it in the sense that he would make them better right now. But you don't know what's going to happen with the injuries, age, and still having to allocate more offensive line resources, money to a position that you've essentially tried to fix. If you can get Young right now and get Kingsley developed as a guard, which I still think the live reps are going to need to be there to have that happen, they're going to be in a much better situation now and even in the future than they would be if they brought in Quentin Nelson. Thank you very much, JCP, for the 5. What do we do at running back? And what do you think the Chiefs will do? Elijah Mitchell and Brashard Smith get more reps Friday, or do you think they decided? I do think both will get reps on Friday. I think they have to at this point because we do know, at least by my extension, Kareem Hunt is one of the best short yardage running backs in the NFL. He showed that last year, and I still think that that's where it is. So I'm okay right there. Pop looks pretty explosive. Looks like he's pretty comfortable now. Looks like he's healthy, which is great. And I do think that we got to figure out what's going on here with these guys. Looks like Carson Steele is going to be on the roster, which is shocking to me, to be honest with you. But looking at Elijah Mitchell and Brashard Smith, this is where your super chat, I do appreciate it. We are going to be looking at some of these Brashard Smith clips right now, as a matter of fact. So this is the first one. You get a little bit of a motion from right to left, and you do get the ability that he has with the ball in his hands. Now, this is something that I want to point out because typically I have stated many times, started with Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and it's continuing. The Chiefs love to run the running backs left to right. it bothers the hell out of me. And I think ultimately it negatively impacts their ability because you see here, he gets the ball. Now, ideally, you'd like to turn at a curve, but we don't get a block right away. So, okay, I have to make a real hard cut inside. And for a guy who, again, is playing the receiver position a few years ago, transitions back to running back, we got to figure out how to go back through that. I think that at the end of the day, this is going to be still a pretty important thing. I'm having some issues with the clips over here, you guys. So we'll go back to the beginning of this one. No, never mind. I don't know if you guys can see the clips when I'm playing them. Um, so if you can, let me know because when I press play on my screen, I don't see this. Nothing is happening for me. So we will hopefully get back. Okay, you guys can see it. Okay. That's unfortunate for me. I just don't get to see it. Okay. Remove that one. Okay, so you guys have seen that clip as well. I'm gonna probably get rid of some of these from the studio. Maybe they're just kind of piling up on them on each other so that I can. All right, we'll remove you. I'm glad you guys can see him because again, this is not the most user-friendly system for showing clips to everybody. But the reason I talk about Brashard Smith is because I do think that at the end of the day, the guy who has less tread on the tires at running back specifically, and the guy who can be kind of bouncy like this. I think that Brashard Smith is a very interesting player in this system specifically because I don't think he's the McKinnon heir apparent. I think he's closer to what we saw from Damian Williams. I think Damian Williams is a very apt description of what Brashard Smith should be in this offense, which again is a very good running back who can take advantage of some of the creases and the cutback lanes. And this specifically, now you get pressure very, very quickly. Wanya Morris gets beat across the face. Tell me if you've heard that before. But Brashard Smith does a really nice job of identifying the pressure and going around it. What I would like him to do is to pop. Okay. It's where you press and you pop. It's a more of a jump cut, a little bit, just a slight jump cut. Instead, he spins all the way around and he ends up, landing into Wanya Morris, who is now falling to the side. Exactly, JC. Exactly. We've all heard that one before. So ultimately, I think that Brashard Smith can be can be wow, I can't speak right now, can be utilized in a way that not only can he be an effective player out of the backfield for catching passes, but he can be used on these outside zones from under center. Personally, is what I would do. I'd love to see him more under center because I think that gives him a much better line of sight, which we've talked about a lot. When you do under center outside, or excuse me, when you do shotgun outside zone, it really takes away what they can see and what they can actually do in terms of cutting it back. So you see, he does a nice job right there. He was hitting the spin move multiple times in that game, and it was always fun to see him do that. So there's a lot that he can do. And again, this is another outside zone rep, this time from shotgun. And you guys can see what I'm talking about with the inability to really turn. You're already there, but this is a nice job of him weaving. He hits a spin move again. That's what he's going to bring. He's a weaver. The Chiefs have not had a weaving style of running back since that, since Damian Williams. That's kind of been what he has been. I think Jerick McKinnon, to an extent, has done some of that, but what we have seen, I think, from our guy here, Brashard Smith, is a little bit more growth. I think he can grow a little bit more into this offense and be utilized much better. And if he fits what the Chiefs running backs already are in terms of the style of what they need. They still have the bruiser. They still have the energy guy. They need somebody that can kind of be a slasher there. So overall, what I appreciate from Brashard Smith, he got out there, he showed a little bit more than we saw from Elijah Mitchell. This game, I think on Friday against the Bears, is going to be yet another big opportunity, not just for him, but for Elijah Mitchell. And really, that's it. Those are the two guys, especially if Carson Steele doesn't play, which I'm assuming he's going to play a little bit here and there, but I don't see Pop. Maybe no, that's right. They're going to have the starters play, so you're going to get to see. I think all four of those guys. Kareem Hunt probably doesn't play, but Carson Steele, Pacheco, as well as Smith and Elijah Mitchell. It's a big game for both of those players, especially if we expect Carson Steele to make the roster as that fullback / running back that they want to have around. So that's something to be watching for on Friday against the Bears. I do think there's a lot more that Brashard Smith can offer from a youth perspective. Again, tread on the tires and less injuries or fewer injuries than Elijah Mitchell. But hopefully he brings something, because if you have to make a tough decision, that's always the best case scenario of the player that you're going to get. If he's hitting a run and Brashard Smith's hitting a run later, that's always a good thing to see on a day like this. So I'm very excited about that, but there's a lot of opportunities in front of everybody to be able to do that. So Sean, thank you very much for the 5 super sticker. That is greatly appreciated, you guys. Thank you for being here with me tonight, by the way. I'm trying to figure out how to do more lives with the film. It's not always the easiest thing in the world, especially where my studio is not where it is. And again, the house has been settled upon. We will be able to get everything in there very quickly. Hopefully, within a week, I'll have some things working out for that and get more actual film breakdowns done. But you guys, anybody that you're interested in watching, I very much want to know. So go ahead and put them in the comments. You can put them in the chat right now. But these opportunities, this is a big one for a lot of these players. There's a lot of these teams. Again, I think going back to the clips that we saw with Wanya Morris, I don't think he's got a spot on this roster. I don't think he should. I think Issa Pole should be getting that. So this is a big opportunity for Issa to show, look, I can be the guy. I can go play right. I can play a little bit left. I can do both. You don't need to have Wanya Morris on the roster. If he has another very solid outing, I would not be surprised to see him above him on the pecking order, above Wanya Morris on the pecking order. So there's that, like info just said, Issa Pole, I think is a very interesting player to be able to do that. Wide receiver wise, JC says Brownlee would be a fantastic ad. I don't disagree. I would love to see them find a way to make that work. The only way that's going to happen, though, is if Rashee Rice goes to the suspension like early, and then they have room to put him on the suspension list, and then they have that room there for him. I just don't think that's going to happen right away. So I do think that stylistically, again, if we're going to see more back shoulder throws and more access down the field in the red zone like that with fades or some one-on-one opportunities, I think it makes a lot of sense. So I'd be very happy in that regard. But again, going back to the top point of this, Ashton Gelati, these defensive tackles, defensive ends have a very big opportunity in front of them to not only make the roster, to make decisions difficult for the Chiefs organization and get some actual pass rush going. So pay attention on Friday for who has the best pass rush day. You might see them make the roster, even if they're not somebody that would naturally do so in that situation. What do you think about Fulton generally? I think he's a good defensive corner for this specific secondary. Plays physically, he's a willing tackler, plays and run support. The problem is that he's been injured, and I loved him coming out of LSU. I had him as a first round caliber player, and we've seen kind of spurts of that, but mostly injuries. Last year, I think he played closer to his potential, but he's already started the season on the pup list. He's going to have, I don't know if he's going to play at all on Friday, but you can't count on somebody right now that can't play to be able to do that. So I'm nervous. It looks like Jalen Watson will be back for this game on Friday. They'll also get Hollywood Brown back. I don't know how much he's going to play, if at all, but he did practice today. Yes, today's Wednesday. So there is something at least out of that. And the Chiefs, I believe they were interested in him that year. Yes, I believe that they had him on their board, but he was more of a second round pick for them. And then he ended up going a little bit higher than the Chiefs were picking. So that's how that worked. But yeah, you guys, this is really what it comes down to. Opportunities are made, born in off season, and they're found in the preseason for guys that are willing to put the work in. If you don't already have an opportunity, it's time to go ahead and take that. So this game for Brashard Smith, Elijah Mitchell, for Ashton Gelati, for Tyquan Thornton, the times that you're out there on the field, you have to go and show to these coaches you're worth not just putting a risk on to put on the roster, but you're worth playing time. You are worth more than just a camp body, than just a practice squad ad. So I hope we get to see some actually decent football, because I don't like the taste in our mouths that we got left with from that Seattle game where they got pushed around. hopefully they come out with a little bit more fire. And the guys that are looking to earn those roster spots and earn those opportunities come out and earn exactly what they get. So thank you guys for being with me tonight, and we will have more content for you on Thursday. Ryan might do something for you on Friday, but we will be with you guys live after the game on Friday for that post-game show that'll be filled with information from the game and probably how we think the roster shakes out. So make sure you tune into the Chiefs post-game, the RGR post-game live after the game, and I'll see you guys next time.
Thanks for watching this video from the team at RGR Football. Click these videos to see more and subscribe to RGR Football.